Have you ever wondered if a Roth 401k is a qualified retirement plan? Well, of course you have, because you clicked on this video. You obviously are searching for it. You're looking for it, right? You're looking for the answer. Well, in this video, I'm going to answer that question and make sure you know that there are other options that may be better for you in your retirement prep. All right, to answer your question, is a Roth 401k really a qualified retirement plan? Well, the answer is yes. If it says 401k, it's a qualified plan. In fact, if it ever has a tax code to it, IRA, 401k, 403b, they're all qualified retirement plans, right? They're all IRS codes, and that makes them qualified retirement plans. Now, a Roth 401k, could you do it or should you do it? You know, it is a qualified plan, which does mean yes, it's set up by the government, it's legit, it's legal. But understand that there are a lot more options with this. The one thing I do like with the Roth 401k is that it is something that you allow your money to go in after tax, it grows tax-free, and then it comes out tax-free. So it's been really cool to see that employers are starting to offer this now as an option. Because if I were to ask you the question, would you rather be taxed on the little bit of seed or the big amount of harvest, what would you rather be taxed on? Now, depending on your perspective, most people would love to be taxed on the seed so that they can take the whole harvest and not have to worry about paying that to Uncle Sam, right? Our rich Uncle Sam loves to take money in taxes. So if you do a just normal 401k, a traditional 401k, you don't pay taxes in the beginning, but you will pay taxes at the end when you need the income the most. And the problem is with most 401k plans, you usually don't make a high enough return to really make a good income. So the problem is if you start saving in a traditional 401k, as you start to pull money out, now you gotta worry about taxes, and you're not pulling that much out because you didn't make that much money in the first place. Just so you know, when I've done the math, I've done the numbers, and this is even over the last 20 years, even when I was a financial advisor, and now that I'm an anti-financial advisor, here's what I found. Whatever you save in a 401k plan per year, that's about what you're able to pull out per year in retirement if you don't want to run out of money. It's not impressive because the returns are not great if you're doing that kind of thing. So a Roth 401k could be better because at least you don't have to worry about the tax bill at the end. Some people believe you might be taxed less in the future. That's debatable, right? Because do we really trust that the government's going to tax us less down the road? Just so you know, historically speaking, in the last 100 years, this has been one of the lowest tax brackets we've ever been in. One of the lowest, historically speaking. So it doesn't mean that you wouldn't be in a lower tax bracket in the future, but it does mean that if you're likely looking at the government, they're most likely going to increase your taxes. And here's another way they can increase your taxes. Inflation. The more inflation goes up, the more you have to spend money. That puts you in a higher tax bracket naturally, doesn't it? Right? So that's the one thing you have to be aware of, is that as inflation goes up, that also puts you in a higher tax bracket too. So even if taxes stayed the same, you could be in a higher tax bracket just because you have to pull out more money to survive. So be careful. This is why Roth 401k could be a great option. Now, there are other things you can do with it too. The other option is you can do a self-directed Roth 401k. This is what it allows you to do, where you can actually decide where you want to invest outside of the typical mutual funds, outside of your work. Now, if you already have a Roth 401k with your own employer, it's stuck, it's trapped. But if you have a private Roth 401k, something that's separate of this, you can create a self-directed one, and you can invest it wherever you want. It can go into real estate investing. You can go invest in oil and gas. You can go invest in just about anything, right? There's very few things you cannot invest with when you do a self-directed IRAs or 401ks. So that means you can make potentially better returns with real assets, not the stock market that goes up or down depending on, if the feds decide to raise interest rates, whether Donald Trump decides to tweet again, any of that kind of stuff happens, you're okay, right? You can actually be in some safer, more legitimate investment options than just the stock market. So there are some things you can do even outside your employer plan that could make it worthwhile. Now, there's a big, big problem. This is the biggest problem. It's not even taxes, right? My biggest problem with any kind of qualified plan, whether it's a Roth 401k, 401k, IRA, 403b, 457, doesn't matter. Whatever plan that you have, there is one major weakness here. You do not own and control your own money. It is not your money. I bet you didn't know this, but a 401k in any qualified plan is actually not really in your name. You are the benefactor, but you know who the owner is? The United States government. And as a result, they can change their rules whenever they feel like. For example, that 59.5 rule. You have to wait till you're 59.5 before you can access your retirement account without that 10% early withdrawal penalty. That's a common one that people know about. What most people don't know about is that that age used to be younger, and then they changed it over time. Now the last 20 years has been the same, but who's to say if they look at it and say, you know what, we want to push it later because people are working later anyways, let's make it 62. Well, if they changed the age to 62 and you wanted to retire by the time you were 60, guess what? Now you're feeling conflicted or trapped. Do I work another 2 years or so? Do I take the money out and take the hit? What do I do, right? So you're stuck. You're also stuck about how much you can actually put in. They tell you how much that is and they can change the rules at any time. Even taking the money out. Most people never look at the rule. They have the required distribution rule, where at the age of 72, you're required to start taking money out of those plans. If you do not, they will tax you 50% penalty for the money you should have taken out that year, but you didn't. So you gotta start taking money out whether you want to or not. So again, it's government controlled, and that's one of my big problems with looking at these qualified plans, is that it's really hard to plan when they could change the rules on you. And the question is, do you really trust the United States government? I'm not saying they're all bad, but do you really trust that they're always gonna have your best interests at heart? Or because they're spending so much money with all these different programs, especially over the last 2 years alone, are they gonna have to try to find creative ways to tax you in different ways that might affect your own retirement plan, and it might actually ruin your retirement? So what are the options? Where can you get the same kind of tax benefit as a Roth 401K, where it's growing tax-free, comes out tax-free, but you have a little bit more control and you don't have the worry of the government being able to change the rules at any time. There is one place that has the same rules as a Roth, but doesn't have all the restrictions. It doesn't have the 59.5 rule, doesn't have the age 72 rule where they get to penalize you 50%. They don't have the minimums, or the maximums that you can put in, because a lot of the 401ks will stop you from contributing to a certain point. If you have a lot of money you want to put away because you want to be financially free and not just barely surviving retirement, but thriving in retirement, and maybe you want to retire before you're 59.5, maybe you want to retire in your 30s, your 40s, or 50s, where the 401k doesn't even make sense, you have an option. And that's an option that's called infinite banking, right? Now, that's a fancy name for using the vehicle of whole life insurance. Now, don't just go and find any crappy whole life policy, because most of them suck, okay? They're horrible. Whole life policies, if you get them the traditional way, they don't work, and I'd rather have you get a 401k, okay? But if you design it just right, and this is something that we teach a lot about, if you design it just right, you can actually get it to where it has lower costs, so the death benefit costs are very low. Your tax-free savings account inside that life insurance is growing much faster, often at least 4 or 5%, even after you've paid all your insurance costs per year, and that's tax-free. That allows you to be able to pull out your money and use it however you want. And again, like I said, none of those dumb rules, even if the government changes the rules, it doesn't matter. You're grandfathered in. They just actually made a change recently, grandfathered people in, and people are saying, oh no, they made changes. I said, it's okay. It doesn't affect your policy because it's a contract. They made a contract at the time. The rules at the time you set it up are the rules today. And guys, here's the other better thing too. I'm not gonna go into depth with this, but the real reason why this can beat your 401k, even with a match, is that you can double dip on your investment returns. It's not just about making at least 4, 5, 6% on your whole life insurance policy. It's about the fact you can take that money, get a line of credit against it from your bank or from the insurance company, borrow from against it, and then use that money to invest to make money in 2 places at the same time. So you make money not only in your insurance policy, but you make money in whatever investments you choose to invest in. So if you do a real estate deal, maybe you make 10%, guess what? You can make another 1 or 2% on your life insurance, making at least 11 or 12% a year, and it's compounding faster. Again, that's a whole nother video, but that could be a much better option than even going with a qualified plan, which is government controlled. So to recap, yes, it is government controlled. There are more options here than a 401k. Roth 401k can be good, but it is government controlled. Do we really want that? I don't know. So I would love to hear in your comments below, do you have a Roth 401k? Do you like it? How's it work for you? And if you like this video, check out, can I convert the 401k to a Roth IRA after retirement?